Welcome to Music Sucks and I Want to Die. I'm Matt.
I'm Jake.
And we have a guest today.
Hi there.
Thank you, Michael. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. How are you guys?
Good, good. All right. Michael Conklin, our resident horn expert, I guess.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So
Real quick, Matt, is that a 40?
So, 32.
Oh, okay, my bad. Yeah.
It's my day off. Fuck off.
Was I supposed to bring alcohol? I was drinking tea.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
we generally drink, although I don't see anything on Jake's end.
No, I don't even have water.
I knew you guys had 211s a lot of the time, but I didn't honestly know where to get those over here. So
Your nearest gas station,
Yeah, exactly,
I'm sure in Idaho will have a 211.
You can only get them between the hours of like 11 p.m. and 3 a.m.
yeah, I
It's the only time it's
I probably just honestly didn't look hard enough, but it's okay.
But regardless, so we got Michael Conklin here. He plays the tenor saxophone and other saxophones and other woodwinds. And he's here to argue with me about why horn players suck so much. And
Argue or confirm some of your confirm some of your theories. Yeah.
But yeah, I've played with Michael a long time in lots of different bands, and it's pretty sick.
Yeah. Michael, yeah, why don't you give us a little background, what you...
Sure.
You went to school with us, so you must
I
also hate Cornish. And,
I actually did listen to the music schools episode. I thought it was pretty good. So
there you go.
a lot of that, I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. But yeah, I went to Cornish with these guys. So my main instrument is tenor saxophone, and I just recently started picking up alto again, and I pretend to play clarinet and flute sometimes,
Nice.
in that order. And yeah, I guess I'm technically still Brooklyn based, but
Just happened to be in.
I happened to be in Boise at the time of recording, so
Same diff, right?
and also
Yeah.
for the past like 6 months.
so I've done a bit of touring, mostly with Jake,
Yeah.
out of college. And,
Sorry about that.
I played a bit in Seattle before I went to try and make it work in New York, and I guess I'm still working in New York, but that's a blurred line right now. But I'm working totally as an online teacher currently, and we'll see where I go after that. But
You're not getting like the one gig that exists right now, Michael? God.
which gig is that? That's
Jake played like a wedding, I
Yeah,
think.
I'm actually starting to get gigs again, so that's pretty,
Oh, shit.
that's good.
sick. Yeah, but enough about me. No.
All right, so we have bashed horn players before on a vignette episode, I believe.
Yes,
With the tenor processional.
that's right. Oh, that was the Jam Sessions episode. Yeah.
Is that the same one?
I guess we
No,
bashed horn players a
we
few
bashed horn players
times.
again. Like,
Okay, well that was my favorite bashing that I've had.
I mean, that one just hurt my soul so much that I'll never remember it.
Well, tell me about it. I have to be one of the many in the processional, so like, how forgettable am I? So,
Well, let's start with like the nature of the horn. So, Michael, how does it feel to be such a loser who can only play one note at a time? Stupid cuck.
Fucking
define one note at a time.
No one likes that overtone bullshit. Get out of here.
Well, I like it. So.
Oh, I can play harmonies. No.
I have like one or two multiphonic fingerings that almost sound like a triad. So-
No, actually, serious question though. What sort of brought you to this sax or horns in general? I guess was that your first instrument or?
My first instrument was technically piano. I took piano lessons for like 8 years. I don't have 8 years of piano lessons talent to show for it or skill, but ever since the first grade, I was playing piano, and then I picked up alto in elementary school.
Was that for like school band or just for fun?
Yeah, for school band. So and it was actually, there was a shortage of trombones, which is what I actually wanted to play.
You dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, I know. Like, how much has my life been altered because my school like had one less trombone? So I was thinking about that the other day, but and I just kind of played it for a while. I just played both of those instruments. Not really. I guess I played recorder before that for like a year.
Like a hardcore recorder. Huh?
Like a lot of people. I have a couple of recorder students. See, I've color coded
Take
it.
lessons for recording.
yeah, that's kind of fancy, right? People pay for lessons on recorder.
Hot cross buns, man. I gotta master it.
It's
A brief little side note: I played a gig with the symphony, and I had the synth parts, and in my parts they like play if recorders are not present, and I'm like, who the flying fuck is ever going to hire recorders? So I learned the parts, and then I show up to the gig, and there's 3 recorder players,
like actual recorder players, like,
and they were nasty. They were
are nasty. Yeah, they are
they were
good.
disgusting.
Yeah, and
So, anyway, nice brief anecdote aside. You played
So I am not
recorder
that.
only for 5 years. Yeah.
no, I played piano, picked up recorder before, like a lot of horn players in school. Maybe Jake, maybe you did this, but
Yep.
like play recorder first before they like pick
right.
up whatever wind ensemble instrument they end up picking up. Mm-hmm. Except the people who pick up percussion, like they usually
Yeah.
get yelled at for like 4 years and then
And then
There's always that
then
type
quit,
of
yeah.
kid, right? It's like, oh, you're in the drum.
But I played saxophone for a while. Didn't really think much of it. I wasn't even the best. Didn't take it seriously. And then I had like a really awesome teacher come in and like try to shake things up in the
cool.
band class. Like take us to the Lionel Hampton Jazz Festival, stuff like that. And I was like, you can do that?
You can play jazz.
Oh man. Then she hooked me up with a couple graduate student teachers at Washington State University, and then like pretty soon, what else happened? I had a buddy who played guitar, and we were just like nerds that would hang out in the band room like during lunch.
Yep.
Like cool people. And he just started playing the "Smells Like Teen Spirit" riff on guitar, just something he picked up, and I was like, I think I know how that goes. I'd like never played it before. I was like, I think I know how that goes. Like I was playing like this crappy alto at the time, and I just started like, I was there to like practice something for like a spring concert coming up, and then I just kind of joined in with him. It's like, I know this song. It's like, I think I can sound it out together. And then like people were like, it was like a corny high school movie, and people like were gathering around. I was like, oh!
The greatest Nirvana tribute band ever was born.
Yeah, exactly. And then we had exactly one show, but like my town of like 400 people, like it was the first standing ovation that they let us play on. They let us play on the spring concert, by the way, that song. My teacher came in and was like psyched that people were doing something that they actually wanted to do. And it's like, you guys can do that for the spring concert if you want. It's only going to be like 30 minutes of just like crap from the Standards of Excellence book anyway. So
It's just you two just blasting.
why can't this be the finale? And it's like, okay. And then,
That's pretty awesome, actually.
and then after that, I was like, I want to do this forever. That was an awesome feeling. And then I decided to go to college for music. Tried to go to Berkeley. They didn't give me any money, so I went to Cornish instead. Yeah.
Yep. That brings up something too I was thinking about earlier preparing for this episode is, obviously horn, sax in general haven't really been a popular instrument for a while.
Oh yeah.
And so I wonder how many like modern professional horn players really are just kids who randomly chose that instrument in elementary school, and then
Probably a lot.
for some, I'm wondering, like, do people actually are like, man, I really want to play the saxophone when they're like 10? Is that a thing?
No, I don't know. Well, I'm sure there are, but yeah, for me it was just something I was already playing. Like I said, I wanted to do trombone first. I thought that looked fun. I was just like, wee, just gotta slide around. That looks awesome. Like,
Well, it's just interesting, I think, because, like, you're younger, you're like, oh, guitar or drums or something. It's like, yeah, rock star. And this probably isn't the case anymore, because no one listens to rock anymore either. So maybe people are just like, DJs, yeah, I don't know.
right? Yeah.
But I don't know, I think it's kind of interesting. It's like, without that whole elementary school band thing, it's like, would we have horn players anymore?
Yeah, and I don't know, and it's kind of hard to find. Kind of for the same reason, it's kind of hard to find woodwind students. Like at the school I teach at, I'm the only woodwinds faculty.
Sure.
I have to play and teach like all these other instruments I never necessarily wanted to learn. Like,
Yeah, no, it's the same at high school. It's like I think the only woodwind teacher we have is mainly the piano teacher who just happens to play.
Right, and like
Well,
I
enough, you
have
know.
like 12 piano students also, so it's like so and
Hey.
like I know it's like sorry Jake, but yeah, because it's hard to get those students too, so I don't and it's considered the less popular instruments, like 4 different instruments, like at my school. I play all of those, I teach all of those. I don't know, I think if we tried to get more students out of the band programs, then maybe I'd get more, but yeah, like I think I do think all the horn players are coming from the schools for the most part. Not exclusively, but like nearly. So I think there's, because of this last year, there's probably going to be like a year and a half gap of horn players on Earth, probably, because there's been no band classes
I
this
was
year.
just say some kid in quarantine being like, man, I wish I had a trumpet right now. God damn.
Yeah.
I'm sure the parents would be like, no fucking trumpets.
Exactly. No, the parents be like, you're not fucking playing that instrument, sorry.
Yeah. So,
Although I guess I would say when I was young, like 8 or something, for some reason I really wanted to play trumpet. And I rented one and never took lessons and never made a noise out of it, I don't think. So maybe there are some kids out there that for whatever reason are just like gravitating towards that particular style of instrument.
well, there are, but yeah, it's not nearly as popular as almost anything else.
Well, I mean, if we look at popular music, and I know obviously like a lot of instruments aren't popular anymore, but you know, we had sax and rock music back in the early days. And I feel like there was sort of a resurgence a few years back where there's like that Lady Gaga song with a sax in it, and Katy Perry had a sax solo in a song. I feel like they're trying to make it come back for a summer.
I think that was Lenny Pickett, the SNL guy for the.
Oh, was it really?
I think so, for the Katy Perry tune.
I remember Kenny G being in the video.
He was in the video,
Good old Kenny, he's still making it work.
He just had to show up. It's like,
But I don't know, it's kind of interesting that it kind of just died out of popular music a long time ago. Obviously still big in like jazz and, you know, working on late night shows, I guess, and things like that. Studio.
Yeah, studio work probably, I don't know.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
video game soundtrack, I don't know. But
yeah, stuff like that. But man, it just, guitar came and was just like, no, we don't need this shit anymore. And now it's like, well, computer came, we don't need that shit anymore. I don't know, it's kind of weird. But
I replaced a lot of jobs myself. It's pretty great.
that's why I can justify keeping these piano students.
Exactly. Because I take all your horn work.
Well, that is weird too, that the whole like synth horn thing happened. It's like, oh, we can have horn sections now, but we only have to pay the one guy. So yeah, let's have those back in.
Yeah, quick side note, synth horns are still a disaster.
Oh yeah.
Unless you're like studio recording them and have time to just edit every single little articulation. Plug in the little MIDI trigger here to make the trigger to like sforzando from legato for that one note, and then it's like all this bullshit. But having some jackass on a keyboard play horn sounds is terrible.
I kind of like it.
Oh, come on.
I kind of do.
In what?
Music? I don't know.
Like, if you're going for the fake horn sound from like...
Yeah, I like the fake horn
That's
sound.
tight. But if you're trying to replace a horn section on a keyboard, it's bad. I play organ for horn parts usually.
No, it's better.
Yeah, and fake horns are a disaster. Anyway, side note.
Well, so on the flip side of that, though, if it is less popular, less people doing it, so less competition in the genres that are still heavy on the horns? Is that something you've come across?
No. I find that it's like super competitive. Is like because for I don't know, it's less popular overall, but like there are so many people coming at it from school that it's like kind of an oversaturated. There's like too many horn players. Like I think.
I agree.
With that, not like there's not like they shouldn't exist, but I mean,
Fuck them.
to match the demand, like there's no.
Yeah.
There does seem to be like a bottleneck thing. You have 5 people here and you have 1 gig.
Yeah, and like, you know, like how many. In popular music, how many roles is a horn player actually filling?
Sure.
Like a solo and some fills, which I think is where Jake's argument is going to come in pretty soon.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's like how much are you actually doing? So,
Right, and I would imagine too the only place that would have these or more gigs would be something like New York, where every other horn player lives anyway.
well,
So-
and that's the other thing. It's like, you know how while I was living there, I noticed like, well, you know, the guitar. With the guitar, there's always the guy playing Wonderwall. There's like always that guy.
Yeah.
In New York, there's
Yeah.
always a saxophone player of any level just playing outside somewhere. Like it's like it seems to be more common than the Wonderwall guy. Like in New York. Yeah.
Fancy.
I assume there's a Baker Street somewhere in New York. That
Hey,
you
what?
play Baker Street on.
Oh, is there? I don't know. There's
I'm
there's Bleecker
guessing.
Street. Yeah.
But yeah, so I
There's-
guess point being like
this-
if you want the gigs, you kind of have to go where they are, but then everyone else goes there. I guess there's less spread out diversity as opposed to like say piano, where you can pretty much get a job anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Boise's like funk horn scene is popping, and you just don't know yet.
I have no idea because I've just been in this room all year. So it could be, but yeah, it's I don't know. For what I've noticed, it's highly competitive. There are gigs, but there's not a ton of them, and I don't know. I think you got to be willing to play anything, which I think is part of the reason why horn players double a lot and
Sure.
triple and quadruple, and they just have to. So
Well, no, if you're like say doing a musical or something, you get paid for each instrument you double, right?
that's true. So that's its own scene. I haven't tried to
Sure.
break into
That's a
that
practice
really.
that is, from what I hear, also declining, so that's cool.
Oh, maybe.
Because the
Oh,
mediums
really?
start to lose strength because music isn't valuable.
And the if you're doing like Broadway and stuff, like you also got to do double reads, which is kind of where I went. Never mind. So
Double reads are a nightmare to play, yeah.
I don't want to have to make my own reads either. So
Oh, ew.
that's like for oboe and bassoon. Like no, I don't. I don't know, but.
Yeah. No, that's good. No, I was curious. So, I mean, those are all my nice questions. Jake, you want to start tearing into people now?
Yeah, so why do you exist at all?
I don't know. Maybe it just maybe it comes from the schools, and then like maybe it's people who just are like, okay, I'm only good at this. I don't think that's really it, but
I think there is still a cool factor in our culture of like, you know, the old jazz sax player just being
yeah.
super
No, I think it's definitely one of the instruments that is like in popular culture. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, cool, a saxophone.
Yeah, exactly.
but
Chicks
then-
dig it, right?
Right. Yeah. So maybe that's it. Like.
Sax addicts, yeah, bro.
Yeah. So. I don't know. Do you think there's more horn players than other instrumentalists?
Sometimes I think so, yes.
Yeah. It seems that way at the jam sessions
Yeah,
a lot of the time.
Let me open up my phone contacts real fast.
Yeah.
I have my contacts organized by instrument because I'm like a...
Wow, you do?
So I have like 16 pianists, 8 guitarists, 15 drummers, lots of percussionists for no reason. I have 27 sax players, 35 bassists for some reason, and 12 violinists and 15 trombones. Like, I just feel like a horn player. There's so many horn players, dude. A lot of sax players.
You know,
Yeah.
someone who plays mostly in the rock world, like, you know, I never see horns.
Right.
You know, I know how many fucking guitar drummers and stuff, even bass players, and a lot of bass players, which is, I think, rarer. If you do see a horn, it's almost, novelty's not the right word, but it's definitely like,
I guess.
oh, they're doing something. They got like this guy playing soprano
yeah.
sax out here, which I've seen before. It's like a heavy blues band, and then all of a sudden they had some guy come out and like do a clarinet, and it was actually kind of cool. But
Yeah.
it's, you know, it's interesting because like there's so many horn players in Jake's, you know, world, but to me it's like that comes out. It's like, oh, I'm noticing this band, even though I probably wasn't paying attention beforehand.
Right. Oh yeah. So
Totally get you.
Yeah, I don't know any other instrument that kind of they do that with necessarily. It's like bands on keyboards, I guess, but
Yeah.
you know, I don't. I don't see anyone bringing a banjo out on stage, like at a rock show or something. So I don't know. Maybe you have a job in the proggy blues rock world, Michael.
No, but I would definitely be open to it. Partly because I agree, is like that'd be less expected, and probably not as much competition. You could help your band stand out a little bit.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
It's not a mean question either. Don't worry.
Okay.
No. So as a pianist, keyboardist, etc., it's relatively easy for me to just. Wow, my mic's running away from me. Hold on. There we go. Can you hear me now?
Oh, hey, I can hear you again.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So, I'm a pianist keyboardist. It's relatively easy for me to find work in, like, I could go out and hustle out a weekend of gigs almost anytime I want. So, for you, what do you have to do to get, like, a first gig with a band or whatever? Do you, like, go through an audition process, or, like, how do you find the equivalent amount of work if you can?
I think you just have to show up and be seen and heard and be a nice guy, typically. So it's just like, be a nice person. So like, it's always just been like someone that I knew already. Like, I don't know if there's really, I don't think I've ever, no, that's not true. I've done some more formal auditions before, but even like getting those auditions came from like someone I knew, probably Jake Seeley. But yeah, so that probably partially answers the question why you see them all the time, because everyone just kind of has to do that, and you have to stand out in some way.
That leads me to another question.
Yeah.
So let's say you're at a jam session and you just heard 2 saxophone players take 3 courses each on Have You Met Ms. Jones. You're stepping up to the plate. What are you trying to do?
I try to play something honest. that's I guess.
Wow.
Name.
I don't know. Well, because I feel like.
So he starts circular breathing. Yeah.
I feel.
You do your multiphonics, bro.
And I'm not saying. I don't know. Because what I mean by that is I try to play something like that is serving the music in whatever situation it is. I'm trying to have, I haven't done a jam session over a year now, but I'm trying to like show up and like add something to it instead of just like adding to the background of 16th notes that was already going on. Like,
yeah, that's a good question, I think, Jake, because like you and I don't really experience that because there's generally just one guitar or one
exactly,
piano
yeah,
for
and
jams.
sometimes you'll be on for multiple songs straight. And like,
yeah, but I guess you're getting at, is there sort of like a sense of competition in those settings where
there can be.
Yeah.
There often is. No, I noticed it in Seattle and New York, but like in New York, it was like times 10.
I mean, is Jake's joke true about the whole processional of tenors lining up?
It's not even a joke.
That's
it's like
not a joke, dude.
It's an actual. It's an actual thing that happens. And I've been part of plenty of them. But so I go into it. I usually go into it with the mindset of, okay, I'm one of literally 20 people who just did the exact same thing. What did I hear? What can I add? So usually, I feel like I'm kind of an oddball in that I'll try to do what I can in as little time as possible. Sure. I'll be the guy who actually takes like 1 or 2 courses and tries to like say something, and I'm trying to stand out that way instead of impress the other saxophonists that are there. I'm usually trying to add something to the music, so like the vocalist wants to play with me, so like, the bassist wants to hire me for they're usually the ones that have the gig anyway. So
exactly, yeah.
So
I guess that's a good point.
I try to approach it with that mindset, that I'm try to do as much with as little as possible a lot of the time, unless I feel like the music is actually calling for like a shredding bebop solo, then sure, then I'll try to do that. But on a ballad, like do people showing up to a bar on Tuesday night really want to hear like bebop altissimo right after like on top of Body and Soul? Like, I don't think they do. Like,
do you remember when we played with Rude Rush and we
Yeah.
did that ballad and he kept being like, no, you guys got to play more and more. And I think you and I were both soloing. I was just like, this is so weird. I don't want to.
I have the other perspective as someone who went to the final concert you guys ended up putting on, which was awesome. But you guys, I think you started playing Time Remembered.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
The 11s. And Rude Rush, you guys are playing this great, nice, awesome ballad. You're thoughtfully. Rude Rush comes in, starts out with a nice long note. And he plays ridiculously loud, and he's got like a terrifying face when he plays. Oh man, it was insanity. So I now I'm starting to put the pieces together here with Rude Rush's with his ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there's a little culture thing to that, just like, gotta play. So on the flip side, though, of that jam where you're like, okay, I got my 2 choruses or whatever, I gotta make it count in whatever way you want to do that. You know, someone like Jake and I, we actually have to play the entire time during a jam song. So I don't know, that's not necessarily something I think about. I mean, obviously we'll have our solo, but, you know, you're still playing behind everyone else.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, it's just a different mindset. I hadn't thought about that before, but, you know, if you're the solo instrument, I guess that's kind of just focus on that, and
yeah.
which is, I think, kind of a cool advantage over what we have to do, because we don't necessarily have time to think about our moment since we're doing it the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of. Well, if you're, that's the other thing. Is like if you're listening to everybody else as well.
Well, there's that. Yeah.
You know, and I'm not necessarily. I don't know. It's part of the culture a lot of the time, but like people are just hanging out, having drinks, like talking to their friends who are other musicians. And then it's like, oh, my turn. Hold that thought. They start playing. Who knows if they were actively listening a second ago? Sometimes they are. Sometimes they're not.
For sure.
And you know, I'm not like. I don't know. I'm not bashing on anyone who does it that way, but I do typically try to. I've noticed most of the time I can stand out in some way by doing less.
No, that makes total sense. Yeah.
Like
And
focus on playing something more melodic, focus on tone rather than like melting someone's brain, and it's
yeah, no, definitely.
I think it's been working.
Yeah, I really like that approach personally.
Yeah.
Because, even at a jam session, theoretically, you should be making, like, music, I guess.
Right.
No, so when I'm playing piano for one of these processional standards, as we start calling
Sessional standard.
so, basically, I'm comping for 20 minutes, and then I get to my solo. I'm kind of fucking tired, dude.
Oh yeah, I bet.
So I usually take, like, either I'll just, like, not take a solo, or I'll just take one chorus and just be a douche the whole time. But no, like,
Not
I just
you.
yeah, not me, no. But basically, I will try to make a nice, short little statement, and then I will actually usually try to cue the head again, but then we trade 4s for 3 choruses, and then the bass player plays, and then we go. But at that point, the song had already been going 20 minutes, and I like controlling things. Maybe that's a piano culture thing.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm kind of a control freak, so I like to do stuff that, like, makes things not 25 minutes long. If there's no audience, I don't give a shit. That's like, if there's people listening, even if the bartenders have to listen to it, it would be like, okay, can we chill a little bit here?
Yeah, and I try to think about that too. Like, it's not just you and the 20 other horn players there. It's like there is like someone who just got off their like nurse shift, like who doesn't
Walked
want
into the wrong bar.
who doesn't want to hear the 3rd soprano player in a row. Like,
Jesus Christ, you guys are making me not miss jam sessions even more.
so like, I do try to keep that in mind. It's like it's not just about the other musicians here. It's like it's like there are people working here who have to listen to this like every Monday or whatever. There's like people who have to.
Musicians don't tip, so yeah, you're good.
That's
Shit. What about those assholes that go up there and like whistle for solos? What do you guys think?
Oh. Usually they make me, in my defense. After the first time. The first time I was the jackass. But now it's all I do, apparently, so.
Well, let's get into the real discussion here. And Michael, what do you think about Jake's economic proposal?
So first, let me state my economic proposal again for the record. In many situations, we're playing a gig. Let's use like a salsa gig, for example. The 3 percussion players, the bass player, and etc. are all playing nonstop for 2 hours, essentially. And we're counting and we're doing all these crazy hits and shit and whatever. And then horn players play once every 25 bars for like 2 hits. Bam, bam! And then they shut up. And then I play for another 2 hours, and they come in 2 hours later, whatever. And they carry these little bitch instruments that weigh 5 pounds. And they go on stage. And then as soon as the gig's over, nah, fuck that, I'm out of here. I gotta go to the Owl and Thistle jam session to go play in a tenor sax processional. And I'm getting paid less for that. So basically my economic proposal is that horn players, in the times where they do way unbelievably less work, which is all the time, should get paid less than like rhythm section players or even singers.
I think you're forgetting the cool little like dance kind of things they do.
Oh, the 2-step! Never let me forget the 2-step of pain. Every time I watch horn players 2-step on stage, I want to die.
Just so we're clear, I've only ever done that when I've had to.
I remember the protests.
Well, don't you think they should get paid for that then?
I think if a horn player has to do a 2-step, then yes. But
if you're forced to do a 2-step,
Yeah.
yeah, you got to get paid for that. Like I wouldn't do it unless.
no, I do kind of see your point of view with the argument, because a lot of the time horn players don't do nearly as much work. Like oftentimes in a pop situation, or I haven't played in any salsa bands, but if what you're saying is true, is like, then yeah, hardly anything. But
Actually, I think the horn players do more work in salsa bands than they do in pop groups.
okay, yeah. So I see what you're saying. I think things that would like, I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm going to be like some kind of pariah for other like horn players, because we're all trying to make a living. I don't necessarily think that we should be paid less, but maybe you should be paid more. But
So if I'm paid more, then you're paid less.
yeah, but it's a different
I got you.
perspective. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also think like if a horn player is doubling on the gig, I think they should be paid more for that. But at the same time, like, if the piano player is also handling all the cues, if the piano player is also doubling, they should also be paid for that.
Yeah, I mean, they keep bringing multiple keyboards to like a ton of gigs, and they don't pay you for that, right?
Hell no, they don't.
So I think
That's why I never bring backup guitars, because they don't pay me for that shit. I don't care if a string breaks.
Oh, fuck you. I've been on
you know,
keyboard string breaks. I'm pissed.
anyone who doubles and like they have to do it for the gig, and like I think like we were talking about, I think before we started. Was it before we started recording? We were talking about like Broadway, where like you would get paid per instrument. Like,
Right.
I know that's not feasible for like every working band out there, but like, I think if you can pay your horn player who doubles per instrument, I think you probably should.
That'd be pretty sweet.
Let's get philosophical here, because this is what we do on this show. We're really
right.
smart, and
Matt says drinking a 32. Yeah.
it's noon somewhere, man.
What, like Alaska? What do you
I
mean?
don't know. Great, you made me lose my train of thought. I guess here we're getting to like, okay, the value of music. In this setting, let's just take a salsa band. Here, I don't know. Really, though, what you're putting on a show, a performance, and so part of that is having like 3 horn players on stage the entire time, bouncing along, grooving, and stuff like that. So in that sense, I mean, yeah, you're playing less notes, but you're contributing equally to the image of the performance that is happening.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're basing this kind of setting on just that of, hey, we're making a good night for the audience and people are having fun, the bar's making money, then it's like, well, I guess we're all technically doing our equal part.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're like, if you're working, you should be paid for it. So
Yeah,
like,
you're still have to stand up there for 2 hours.
or
even.
dance even, like,
Yeah.
or like that is work, and I agree. I think I don't know. I mean, I guess I think it should be both. I think a lot of people because a lot of people just get paid. The whole band often just gets paid like the same as everyone else. I think probably more thought should go into it than that, but
Yeah, I think what you guys are getting at too, though, is more on the sense of like how much work you're putting in to actually make the thing happen, as opposed
Right,
to
yeah.
really how many notes you play in a given night.
And on the same token, like a horn player should absolutely help pack up afterwards. Like help the drummer pack up, help get the amps in the car, like whatever it is.
That's never happened in my entire life. But
Hey,
Like, I know you. When you
No, that's
bring
not true.
beers.
That's-
I've tried, yeah.
no, sometimes horn players do help, and
But it should be, it's if it's easier for them to pack up, like.
yeah.
But if you've got like, if you are the horn player who has like 5 horns, like you got to clean those 5 horns,
Yeah.
you got to put them away, you got to then carry them with you.
Yeah, and one of them's a Barry sax, and
And one of them, especially if one's a Barry sax, then like. But yeah, if you got hired to just play tenor, and then you like play your solo, then you dip. Like, yeah, that guy should probably get paid less. Like,
But no, I really like Matt's kind of idea. So the idea behind having 3 horns on stage for the entire time is you're producing a total product with everyone in the band, and you're delivering it to the audience, and that audience is like receiving your brand, and the brand is built on 3 horn players standing on stage. So why should they get paid less?
Yeah.
I'm not really sure in that sense.
It's almost a draw in some cases, like we were saying earlier. It's like, oh, that funk band's great. They have a horn section. Like, people
and
say
like
that.
and sometimes that horn section will even have like another name. We have the blah 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 and the blank horns or whatever, right? So like in those cases too, like where you're building a brand based on your horns and you're trying to sell that to an audience and audiences come out for it, then absolutely, that should be part of the experience and probably receive remuneration of some sort.
Ooh, fancy guy over here.
Yeah. I think I used the wrong word, honestly, so don't worry about it.
yeah, I think if you're contributing, I think if you're like doing the work, I think if you're taking it seriously, treating everyone with the same kind of respect that you would want, then yeah, you should get your cut. I think it seems like we're all agreeing that the diva horn player who does not contribute should be paid less.
You know what's really sad is that, I also play trombone very badly, but I somehow get gigs on trombone, and when I play those gigs, I'm pretty sure I'm the diva.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you are. You confessed to me that there was like a gig you played that was just piano, and you just dipped because it was their piano.
Wait, what?
You were talking. I can't remember when, but there was some gig you played, and they had the piano there. You didn't have to bring anything. You saying you played, and then you just
did. Hell yeah! In my defense, I think that night I had another gig that night.
Oh, okay, all right, fair enough.
But no, I also might do that because it's so rare. But no, if they have a piano there and I'm playing with a band, I usually help out and pack up afterwards, and that includes cabling up cables and all that stupid bullshit. Even if I have a piano or if I just have a trombone, I'll usually help pack up. But there have been times in my life where I play trombone at a gig, I play my solo, I play my fills, and then I put it away and GTFO.
This is the same discussion we've had on our Vocalists Suck episode, and I think we can all agree that vocalists are still way worse about this than horns.
Yes.
So.
I gotta go check that one out, but
it's fire, man. Episode 29.
Oh my god.
No. So
Well, cool.
I guess I don't know what my problem is. I just get like annoyed by horn players. I do actually, even though I put out my economic proposal, I don't agree with it in most cases. I do think horn players contribute to a band just as much as as I do, in the sense that it's the product we're delivering to the audience. I can quibble all I want about them playing for 5 seconds while I have to sit there like a jackass and play every song for the entire song, but that honestly does not matter in the slightest. And like the final product being delivered is what's important. Yeah. So I kind of disagree with myself the entire time. I just wanted to be an edgy edgelord.
I was gonna say this all came out much more like peaceful than I thought that was.
Right, yeah.
Go.
I don't hate horn players. I'm a horn player. I like horn players. Except
I hate guitar players.
You can't be one of us. No, I'm just kidding.
I can't be. Yeah, I make too much money playing gigs. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. But if it's like I think the instance where it's like a jam session gig and like it's the host band or something, and like no keys players show up and the piano player has to stay on all night,
This has happened to me, yes.
that guy should probably be paid a bigger cut. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then it's the time argument,
Like
right?
if the horn player is not the host, like, and there's always going to be a million horn players showing up to like a jazz session.
Sure.
Yeah, I think in that case, probably the keys player probably should make more, or even more often. This seems to happen to the bassist. Like,
Oh god, those poor bass players.
bass players don't show up as much,
Dude, you're
because they're
playing-
gigging. They're higher in demand. They have already got a gig somewhere else, so
Yeah.
they're not showing up to the session as much. That poor guy
Yeah.
has not stopped been like before happy hour until like 2 a.m. Like that
God.
guy's
He's,
been.
he's walking on Cherokee at 300 beats per minute for 2 hours. Like,
I mean, can you imagine that?
Yeah,
You're,
like she
playing,
doesn't
you
want to
see
be
all the-
there. Like,
You see that, you're up there, you're like, God, I'm tired, and then more sax players start lining up, and you're just like, oh no.
the processional started. No.
yeah. So I've been on a few sessions where like the host will like put a chorus limit on people,
Smart.
and I'm like,
God.
it's like, yeah.
Yes.
I don't blame you. It's like I don't want to hear all that either. Like,
Yeah. No sane audience member would either.
no, and I don't know. I feel like people do tend to. I feel like musicians kind of forget that sometimes. It's like, hey, there's regular people here. Like,
Yeah.
Well, maybe
Yeah.
because regular people often don't go.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
Like,
to be
is this like a
fair,
chicken and the egg thing? Like, what's
Yeah.
going on?
there's always that like old couple that's at the jam sessions.
Always, dude.
Always an old couple just being like, yeah, they're doing that the whole time. Like,
And often I really like this genre of person who shows up to jam sessions is like the guy who doesn't play anything but like is a super unbelievable hype man for like anything that happens. Like a sax player will like do a nice run and hit like a note that rings over into the next chorus. It's like, oh my god, killing it, yeah, killing it, bro.
we all need that in our lives, Jake. I like that guy.
No, I like that guy. That's what I'm saying. I like that genre.
yeah, I've seen that guy.
It's me.
It's Jake with your whistle and your Dave Chappelle yell.
Gotcha, bitch.
Oh Jesus! All right. Well, any case, I feeling a little horned out. I don't know, Jake, if you had
Gross.
anything you wanted to ask Michael.
I just kind of want to put a statement out that like the economics of a band is always just like a very interesting thing, and that's why I think oftentimes the equal cut is the safest in terms of morale, chemistry, together, etc. Because while it's easy to like justify like paying someone less in like because they do less work and they pack up and leave immediately and all that shit, it's a lot harder to tell them that
Yeah.
and
You get
then
in
not
trouble.
be considered a huge asshole. So it's like economics in music is also tied to like chemistry and things like that.
feelings.
Exactly, and feelings.
Yeah.
So the balance between those two is pretty easy to find if you just split everything. You know, if it's a salsa band, you split it 13 ways. But
Yeah, I don't know. I think it depends. It's I don't necessarily think that the equal cut is always the most fair way to do it. Sure. I think it's too complex. And this kind of falls into what will be part of my rant is just like not like musicians who don't take like what they're doing like they don't treat it like any other profession.
right.
Because I
Right.
don't think any other profession would just make it an equal cut. Like for like the sous chef gets paid more than
Yeah,
the guy who's
totally.
like washing the dishes. Like
And you're the
I think.
dishwasher, right?
yeah, right. So
Or that. I mean, yeah, or just time spent there. It's like doesn't matter how long you've been in the band, you're still getting paid as much as the new guy.
right, I do think there should be kind of like I don't know some kind like. I don't know if it's like a annual raise or whatever it is. I think it depends on the band, but I think it should
Yeah.
be treated a little more professionally than just like, yeah, everyone just gets an equal cut across the board. Because there have been times where I definitely didn't have as much work to do. There wasn't really as much I could contribute, even if I wanted to, and like someone else was like working their ass off, and like it's like, yeah, I don't know if I necessarily even feel comfortable being paid as much as that guy. Like I'm trying to make a living too. I was here like. I had to prepare, I had to practice, I have a degree, I have all this upkeep with my gear I need to do. That should all be taken into account, but also like I don't know. It's a little bit tricky, but I think thought. There should definitely be more thought put into it. Like, are you just there for a couple fills here and there? Are you then adding to like the overall experience? Like, are you dancing? Are you like announcing? Are you singing? Are you playing auxiliary percussion? Are you doing arrangements for the band? Or do you just show up, play a horn, and leave? Like, and it doesn't just have to be a horn player, but like it could be anyone. Like in rare cases, it could even be a keys player who just like does the bare minimum and doesn't show up. But I think because of the nature of that instrument, that's almost never the case. But
that's hard to pull off.
Jake's dream gig. Yeah.
That's hard to do. I've tried.
I don't know.
Definitely.
It depends, but I think it should be something that bands aren't afraid to talk about. Like, I think
that's a hard subject, man.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think I don't know. I think bands should be. I think any work environment, you should be transparent about, like, here's how you earn your money. You can argue it if you want, but like, you should be transparent about why you're making this much. Like, if you've been in the band longer, you should probably make a little bit more. If you're the leader of the band, I don't know. Like,
I agree. I think it's weird. We're in a sort of situation like something like a salsa band. It's almost like most people in the band are kind of expendable. If it's just sort of these sort of like, oh, we have a gig this month, let's do rehearsal and go. It's like, you have your main core, but then it's like, oh, I can't make it. We're like, oh, we'll get the other guy to come in. And
which is every gig because there's 13 people.
Exactly. And a weird thing is like a lot of times if they have a sub, they end up paying the sub more because they're like helping out. It's sort of like, well, I'm the main guy in the band. What the fuck? Why is this guy doing the one-off getting paid? So
I don't know if that's
I think it's just something that could be discussed more for sure. I agree with you.
I think it's just something a lot of people don't think about, and then like, as soon as if you get like, I don't know what it's like in LA, but I feel like it's a lot more established there, like professional, and by established I mean like there's the same like 3 guys that have all the gigs anyway, but like but they probably have it worked out. Like I don't know. That's
I mean here's kind of where I was going to go next, and maybe kind of wrap this kind of thing up, is there's no actual money. You know what I mean? In music. There's not enough to really squabble over, whether or not Michael should be paid $55 or $60 that night for a 3-hour gig at some Club Hollywood casino, right? So in LA, there is a strong music presence. There's a lot of money flowing in the music industry, but still, in the kind of gigs we're talking about, it's not necessarily flowing in that direction. You know what I mean? It's flowing to, flowing to film and TV scoring and to session players on that kind of thing, and even that is decreasing. So, the kind of money that's flowing around for these kind of gig scenarios we're talking about is really kind of an antiquated argument now. I was talking with a percussion player the other day about the old days of touring with Barry White. And he would get a 32-piece orchestra in each city.
Jesus.
Yeah, but like the core of the band would tour the entire time, and those core members would get paid more. But the 32-piece orchestra that came in and did a 5-hour straight, no breaks, rehearsal would get a decent chunk of money for their effort.
Yeah.
And the numbers we're talking here are like what I expect to get paid for a nice wedding, right?
Right.
And that just doesn't that can't happen anymore. No one gets paid like that.
Sure.
Touring musicians don't hire 32-piece orchestras. You know what I mean? There aren't huge Sinatra arrangements for Katy Perry, right? It's just the economics don't support the kind of model that we're even almost talking about anymore.
Yeah, and I was like trying to put together an argument, but I'm like, I don't know if I've even had that kind of work where it would be like feasible for like, it's usually the local guy who can pay what they can pay, like
definitely,
because they work in software or whatever,
right? Or like they had to spend money to get this gig in the first place, or like whatever. Yeah.
So that's always a weird one where I feel bad taking money because you're just paying out your pocket. But
pay to play, man. It's rough.
But
so like that's my ultimate kind of thing, is like the economics almost don't support the type of gigging that we're talking about right now.
Sure.
And it's like I don't make a majority of my money from playing public shows. I don't know anyone that does.
Yeah.
Except for people that tour with very famous artists.
Yeah.
Right.
Even then, their pay isn't that good. Like I've seen some shit, man.
Right, and like in New York, a lot of people, even like I think some like sort of famous people, like have a day job. Like they're just like putting it together. They're just making some kind of living, and like right now, like I'm like 100% teaching. Like, and well, you know, especially because this year's been
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah,
crazy.
fire, yeah.
Yeah, but then well, I'm lucky to be teaching it all. A lot of people have totally lost all their work. But like you just kind of gotta, for us, we just kind of gotta put together whatever we can.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's just kind of, the professional musician often just kind of looks like this. They have a lot of different things they're putting together. Most of them teach to some capacity and like have a few gigs that pay a little bit.
Yeah.
It's very unglamorous in most cases.
And it's
Exactly.
like,
I'm glad
and
you
I
said that word, because like that, the word glamour comes in a lot to being a professional musician. It's like,
Yeah.
maybe that was true in the 70s. I still kind of doubt it, but it's definitely, this is the model we're all three of us are using.
Sure.
Is the golden standard for every musician that's not at the very, very top of,
Right.
of the fame game, as it were.
Definitely.
Right. Yeah. So, I think you guys were talking about it on one of your episodes. I think it was for the school episode, music school episode. It's like, yeah, if you want to do this, like, it has to be something you have to do. Like, it can't be, you can't have any less motivation
Exactly.
than that. Like, you can't have a shadow of a doubt that music is what you want to do, because this is what it's going to look like if you do it.
no one's paying you that gig, right?
And like, this is like, if you're lucky. Like, like it's not.
Yeah, like
It is, yeah.
we go to college
Yeah.
with, and now like have completely quit music within like months or like whatever.
Right.
And now they work at like a Jiffy Lube or whatever, right?
Right. Yeah. And it's like,
And they make more money than I do. So it's like,
Oh yeah, there's that.
yeah.
so it's like, come on.
And it's like, you gotta want it.
Yeah, there's no other option really.
Yeah,
I'm,
that's it. If you have even the slightest burning desire to do anything else, do it.
yeah, and I don't, honestly.
Yeah,
Like, I've got it.
Me
Yeah.
neither. I don't want to
Yeah.
ever have another job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like I brag. It's like I've put something together. I'm like, it's all music. I put something together and it's working, kind of. Like that's what I brag about. Like
It is impressive. If
I'll
people
have
don't really
my-
see it, but it is
right.
impressive.
It's
you
like
know?
I have my high school. Like if people end up being vaccinated by then, I should have my high school tenure coming up, and then that's what I'll be bragging about.
Yeah, I hope you
like-
show up with your sax. You're just like,
It's like, not that yeah, the restaurant hired me to. I'm gonna make $100 while I schmooze with you guys. Is that okay? Yeah.
That would
And I'm like gonna be psyched about that. It's like I'm definitely not gonna be making the most money out of my class. Like there's no way. But like,
it is cool though. Yeah, I mean it's hard, struggling as we generally are. It is a really nice feeling when you talk to someone who has no idea what this life is like, and you're like, yeah, I do that for a living.
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
I don't know.
no problem.
It's just like, I don't know. So
I don't know.
I take a pride in having putting something together, I guess. And I think if you're a musician who has done that, you should get paid a respectable living wage, but no matter what. Like,
Some countries like subsidize musicians in some
Oh, all right.
yeah, I
next
think this
guest,
is really a United States problem in
Yeah,
a lot of
I was
ways.
gonna
But like,
should we have like Joe Biden on the show after this one?
Yeah.
yeah,
Like, hey man, what you doing for us?
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like, well, we put like musicians' priority loading zones in front of the venues in the entire country.
I think that was just Seattle. Like,
Yeah,
And no one pays
Biden
attention.
did promise that. And that's how they get reelected, man.
yeah,
Oh,
okay.
God.
I don't think he
Getting
even
the
wants to get
musician
reelected,
vote.
does he?
The musicians vote, I guess,
No, musicians probably don't vote, really.
as a general rule, yeah.
Oh man. Well, I think that might wrap up our horn players suck / economic ideals of the.
It kind of just evolved into we're all suffering no matter what
Yeah.
instrument we play. Like,
But anyway, thank you for the talk, Michael. That was
Oh, yeah.
really enlightening. I didn't expect this to get so philosophical. I enjoyed
good.
it.
That's what we do here.
Yeah, it's always surprises on Music Sucks. But if no one has anything else, should we move on to the rant portion? Because I know we all have one, and we're all excited to hear about them, right?
Yeah. I think we should move on to the rant portion of the week.
Okay, who wants to go first?
Matt.
Okay, my rant has to do with the, what is this? Oh yeah, HDCP. You guys know what that is?
I've heard those letters in that order.
He'll have to enlighten me.
HDCP is something I learned about 2 days ago, and it is high definition copyright protection.
Yep. Okay, yep.
What does that mean?
Well, so I've always just been living in a room, and I never had a TV. I just used my laptop to watch Netflix or whatever. But I'm in Eugene, and there is a TV here, so I was like, oh, wow, I can, HDMI that shit, too, so I can watch on an actual screen. That's cool. So this HDCP thing, what that does is, essentially the idea is to prevent people from, recording, streaming shows, because you could technically hook up some sort of device to your HDMI and record Stranger Things and do something with it. I don't know what. But it just so happens that this particular TV is just slightly old enough that it is pre the HDCP. So literally nothing can connect to it. HDMI. Any modern device will not connect to it. So I spent 2 days trying to figure out how to bypass this, different things where you have to get splitter cables to fool it into doing something. All this bullshit, and I ended up just getting a new TV. But my rant really is, again, we talked about this recently, but I really hate copyright laws. And it seems so many times they're just fucking people over. I'm not trying to do anything illegal. I'm literally trying to watch Netflix on an account I pay for on a TV, but I can't do it because they're afraid that someone might figure out a way to record Netflix. And I think there's ways to bypass it now. Anyway, it's just bullshit that they still have to do this, and fuck copyright, pirate life for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yo-ho, exactly. So I want to add to that is we have to, here at Music Sucks and I Want to Die, we have to figure out a way to delve into this copyright shit. Because sometimes I get so pissed off at random copyright laws in every little tiny thing.
Yeah.
I was watching, time to go full Nerdatron mode. I was watching the World Chess Championships, and they were trying to copyright the moves that they were making so that they can't rebroadcast them on other sites.
What?
Yeah.
How does that even work?
They tried their best. They lost 3 weeks later or whatever. But they tried to copyright the fucking moves these two fucking nerds were playing on a chessboard, right? So that they could avoid rebroadcasting from other sites and having other commentators talk about the moves.
What the hell?
Because they wanted full control of the platform, because they were doing their own broadcast with their own commentators and such, and other websites were trying to just restream the moves and have their own commentators. So they tried copyrighting the moves, which is logically the thing that makes sense, right? Obviously. Fuck copyright. I want to figure out a way so we can delve into copyright law. Somehow.
Yeah, so any copyright lawyers listening to this episode, I know we've probably got plenty. Hit us up. We'll get you on the show because we are curious.
Yeah.
And we will not pay you for your efforts because fuck copyright. Loser.
Welcome to being a musician, bitch.
But anyway, that's my rant. Fuck copyright. Jake, why don't you rant for us?
I don't even think I can think of a rant right now.
Oh, okay. No rants for you today. That's fine.
Yeah, I just if I don't play shows, I don't rant.
Well, I haven't had a rant in weeks.
I did the exact same thing last time that I had a gig, where the only rant I have, I did this for Music Sucks and I Want to Die, is that I played a wedding and then it started 30 minutes late and it sucked and I was bored.
Well, now imagine being a horn player on stage for those 2 hours being bored, Jake. You might really know what it's like.
I do know what it's like. Trombone's the instrument that plays the least, too.
Yeah, that's definitely the least popular of the horns, probably. So.
For good reason. But yeah, that's my rant.
Yeah.
Isn't that high quality? Is it the entertainment you guys all wanted?
I'm dying, man. It was so good. I feel like Michael's going to shit talk us a little in his rant. So let's get it over with, I guess.
So we were going to record this earlier. I got a little miffed when it got moved an hour. That's not necessarily what my rant was about, but it reminded me of something in the past that has happened that I think is just generally unacceptable for any professional of any kind, and is to have any sort of unclear professional setting, like in this instance, it's any rehearsal that doesn't have an end time or goal in particular.
Yes.
So it has a start time, and then that's usually really late. That's usually like an hour after it is supposed to start. And then it doesn't have
Coors Light at some point.
Then it doesn't have an end time.
I hate that too.
And there's no goal for the rehearsal in particular. It's just a rehearsal for rehearsal's sake. I don't think those should exist.
that actually, I haven't thought about that in a long time because it's been a long time since I rehearsed.
Exactly. Yeah. This hasn't happened recently, obviously, but
that shit drives me crazy more than anything else about playing in a shitty band.
I hate it. Yeah.
It hurts my it gets my anxiety going and like.
I start to get personally offended. It's like okay, it's like okay, maybe no, I didn't have anything to do after this, but it's still my time, and like, I'm not getting paid for this rehearsal, and like. We started late for some reason, for no good reason.
Man. You ever do that thing where you make up like, oh, I got to be out of here by blah, blah, blah time? Because I definitely have done that on a few times.
Dude, if I don't get an end time, I do that before every rehearsal. It doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you show up, like, just so you guys know, I got to be out here by 3. And then
exactly. And I usually do it about 2 hours.
Yeah.
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 And then that also has the side effect of people shutting the fuck up at the beginning and starting to rehearse.
Right. And
the other plus too is like if it is going long but you're not hating it, you can be like, I'll put another half hour for you guys.
Yeah, and then you're a bro. You're like, homie.
You know, and I think that's where it gets, you know, because so often as a musician, like whoever you're working with probably is your buddy of some kind. So it's hard. It's hard to enforce those professional.
Yeah.
I don't know expectations, but I think they should be. I think we should just in general treat being a musician more professionally. So partially so other people who aren't musicians will take us more seriously, but also so we can protect our own time. Like I don't think there should be a rehearsal if the person running the rehearsal isn't prepared, which has happened at probably 95% of rehearsals I've ever been to. It's like, so what are we doing today? It's like, I don't fucking know. It's your band. It's like, what was your agenda today? What are we going to hit? What are we going to make tight? What are we going to, and then it's just like, let's just run this set list again, just to run it. And then it doesn't have an end time because then we found like, oh, here's 3 things I could have thought about before the rehearsal started. And now I heard them and now I want to work on them. And then we're getting into a 4-hour rehearsal. And it's like, I hate that so much. I think I'm never going to do it again. This is all over. I think that's I had a year to think about things I hated as a professional musician.
Yeah, I feel like Jake, we've talked about this a lot where it's like, we're never doing that shit again. Like this year's really showing how much bullshit there is.
Yeah. And on the flip side, when I'm running something, it's my gig, I'm running a rehearsal, I'm going to come with like, okay, a clear chart, first of all, so I don't have to fix anything. If there are hits, they're going to be in the chart. It's not going to be like, remember to do this, because I hate that too. Everything's going to be, so your chart has to be clear. In the rehearsal, you have to know what you want, and you have to be authoritative about it. You can't be wishy-washy about it, because that wastes your time, and it wastes your band's time. And there has to, you have to be clear about when you're starting. People have to honor that. People have to be on time, which I think is something that just doesn't happen. No.
Well, I think too that kind of feeds in on itself too, because we're so used to these unprofessional rehearsals where it's just like I don't feel bad about showing up late after a certain point. Where
it's
just,
a cycle, dude.
It's
I think you have to. I don't know. I think first of all you have to respect your own time, so you have to like demand that expectation. It's like okay, we're here from here to here, and I mean really like, of course there's in an ideal world there should be paid rehearsals, but of course that really is only going to happen if you're like in Beyonce's band probably, but so even more so because of that reason, like you should be very clear. You shouldn't change. I've gone to rehearsals where like I'm on the way. This is going to sound like I'm bashing on you guys, but it's not. It's like I've gone to a rehearsal where I like earlier in the day, like in New York, this happened earlier in the day, like we confirmed a rehearsal time. I was like, great, I know where it's going to be. I know what time I'm going to be there. Perfect. I've got to do a whole day of teaching now. I don't have time to look at my personal email account.
Sure.
and I know I'm going to be there later. And then I like get home, like I get home from the train, I'm like eating because I haven't eaten all day. I'm like, oh, I have an hour because I know my rehearsal doesn't start until this time. And then I look at my emails, it's like, hey, like sometime at like in the middle of the day, like the rehearsal time changed. And like I was busy, so I didn't see it. It's like I have a whole hour to eat, catch my breath, get ready, go to the next rehearsal. And then like at 3 o'clock in the middle of my day, like there was an email thread of like, hey, can we actually do like an hour earlier? And everyone except me saw that and said, yeah.
And then you're the bad guy, right? They're all mad at you.
And then I'm the bad guy because I was an hour late. And I was like, what? I just got home. I was going to eat. Now I can't eat. And then I'm running to this rehearsal, and then I'm the asshole for some reason.
Nightmare.
That shouldn't happen either. I think people should just generally, like, if a time is agreed upon, it should be that time. God damn it.
Yep.
So
those are all fair, reasonable things.
Yeah.
And I think that might even just be less of a musician thing. That might even just be a millennial thing. I don't want to be a self-hating millennial, but I feel like that's a millennial thing.
Might be onto something.
That definitely is possible.
But yeah, respect your and other people's time, I think, is where it comes down to for me. And make sure you know what you want in your rehearsal. Otherwise, we don't fucking need a rehearsal.
Well, I guess today I've really learned that horn players aren't so bad. Thanks for showing me the light. Yes.
Yeah, what's really bad is the entire economics behind them.
Yeah. Why are we fighting each other when we should be fighting the man?
That's right.
I think you're probably right.
That's right. The RIAA.
Oh, jeez. All right. On to the listening.
On to the listening.
I'll go.
Efficiently, I think.
Yes. I was in the mood for some sweet horn jazz this week.
Oh God! Don't say don't say Glenn Miller. Don't say Glenn Miller.
I'm not. No. Hell no. I don't listen to that.
I said I'm in the mood for some horn jazz.
Oh yeah.
Oh, see, you're the only one that went there, Jake. So maybe you were.
I'm sorry. I've got
maybe you're the
traumatized by playing
Glenn Miller
40
loser.
times. My bad.
No, I was listening to someone I like a lot, Sam Rivers, one of my fave sax
yeah.
players. His album Contours, which I looked up it's got Freddie Hubbard, Herbie Hancock, Ron Carter, and Joe Chambers on it. So like, fucking all stars. But just cool. I like that sort of like mid '60s where it's still bop but kind of avant-garde. So it's like they have the head, and then it's just like, now let's do some bullshit. I just like that sound a lot, I like that period a lot, and Sam Rivers is really fucking good at that. So Contours, check it out if you all haven't listened to it. Yeah, Jake, you?
I've been listening to, God, I don't know the exact genre name, but it's like, I guess you'd call it like 60s, 70s lounge music, and the name of it would be Mr. Martin Denny. It's very cheesy, very corny, and like, there's this, it's hilarious, but like, I really like a lot of it, and there's a couple standout tracks on, it's just this like compilation best of, because he didn't really like put out albums per se, I guess. I don't really know how the economics been that, and didn't do any research because I'm very lazy. But so basically on like this best of Martin Denny compilation, there's a couple really standout tracks. One of them is a version of Beyond the Sea, where it's like piano vibes and like just a light brush kit and a stand-up bass, and then bird sound effects in the background.
Yeah. How many times have we had bird things in the listening of the week now?
I don't know. It's kind of a lot.
It keeps coming up.
Yeah. So you're gonna.
We've never talked about Messiaen either.
Oh my God!
Weird.
So I've been listening to Martin Denny, and it's like lounge music. You know, lots of vibraphones and like some island style percussion, all done in like the whitest way you could possibly imagine. And I like it.
I kind of like that shit too.
Yeah, it's nice. All right, what about you, Michael?
I probably got no surprises here, but I've been missing New York and missing New York jazz. So what have I been listening to? Is the Sonny Stitt Quartet entitled New York Jazz. It's got Sonny on alto and tenor. It's got Joe Jones on piano, Jimmy Jones on piano, Joe Jones on drums, and Ray Brown on bass. And it's
classic.
just like, it's just classic.
I imagine that's an aptly tame named album. That probably sounds like New York jazz.
Yeah.
It does, but It really does, and it's really good. And the nice thing about it is there's only one guy playing two horns, so and that's why it can be good. So
and I bet all those guys showed up to rehearsal on time, and they played, and they knew what they were doing.
they live in New York. They don't have time to fuck around.
That's right, damn it.
Maybe that's part of my new expectations for people, but just not having time to not have an end time for your rehearsal.
That's the name of your new album, like rehearsal end time.
Rehearsal ends at 10.
That's a sick album.
Yeah. No one take that. I've got to write some shit.
Yeah,
I've got to
you
do
have
it.
to do
Yeah.
like fucking 2 weeks, all right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, that album's getting taken.
I know it is. It's like,
Oh
That's a
man,
fucking sick album.
it's not bad. I would look at that and be like, yeah, okay.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it up. Thank you again, Michael. That was
All right.
fun
Thanks,
having
guys.
you on here.
Yep.
And yeah, this is Music Sucks and I Want to Die. I'm Matt.
I'm Jake.
And yeah,
All right.
that's
thanks,
it. Yep. Bye.
Guys. Bye.
Thank you.